I have a tendency to over-prepare. As a novice paddler coming to a place like this here in Stonington, Maine with nearly 70 islands, I would have mapped out every single spot along my journey. But I've come to embrace flexibility and flow. And while all of that planning and prep is important, you've got to do some of it, there's a point where you've got to let it go. I'm really excited to take you on this overnight adventure and share some of the navigational skills and tools and techniques that I'm going to use to get to my sleeping spot tonight. All of that planning gets us into the seat of the kayak, but it's what comes next that leads to the adventure. Okay, let's go camping. We are in Stonington, Maine today. I really love Stonington. If you haven't paddled here, it is a sea kayaking wonderland. There are so many islands and nooks and crannies. There are so many places that are either public or private that allow paddlers to get off and explore or camp. My goal is to camp on Buckle Island. In the summer, this would be absolutely mobbed. So this is an early season camping trip here at the end of May where all the people aren't here. So I'm going to take advantage of that and explore some of these inner islands and hopefully have a little bit of solitude. The other reason I came to this area is to use some navigation skills. There are a lot of islands and a lot of things look alike. So we'll talk about a little bit about how I'm getting from point A to point B to point C, and maybe there's some things that are going to be useful for you. I'm also just looking forward to camping. It's been a while since I've camped, and it's been a while since I've camped and it's not been freezing outside. So that'll be delightful. The other thing we get on this trip are a lot of boats. It's one of the challenges of filming an episode in a very active fishing village. Let's talk about the elephant in the boat. This is not my boat. For those of you who have been following the channel, you've seen me in my white NDK Explorer mostly, and then maybe a few times you've seen me in my silver P&H Aries. But my friend Vic is letting me borrow his Rockpool Taran while he's traveling for a few weeks. And thank you, Vic. I appreciate that. It's a boat I'm really interested in exploring. It's got some design characteristics that are very different than what I'm used to. I understand the basics of it. I'm not the guy to really go into exactly all the details that make this boat, but I do understand that there was an attempt to marry surf ski performance with the stability of a sea kayak or more traditional sea kayak to create this thing. I haven't spent a lot of time in it. I'm going to put some more time in it today before giving you some initial ideas of what I think about it. It's interesting. I'll start there. So far it's been very interesting here for the first few miles on the water, and I'll tell you what I think after a few more miles. Okay, I've got my first point of the trip where I'm not just island hopping. I need to figure out which island I need to cross to. And to do that, I came into a quiet spot. Instead of trying to do it in an area where I was getting blown around and blown into rocks, or if you're getting blown off course, just find a quiet area where you can do some work for a little while and not do a lot of work to keep your position. You can give your attention to something else. The next really important thing is to know where you are. Keeping really good notes or idea of where you are in your journey is fundamental. And normally I would write this down in a little notebook, but my mechanical pencil broke. So I'm just keeping really good mental notes of where I am. From here, I'm going to use my favorite tool, and it's such a beloved tool that I actually made my own Sea Steve Sea Kayak branded version. This is a project I've been working on that made a protractor with the things that I find really helpful and important for sea kayakers. These will be available on my website if you want to buy one. They're not very expensive. It's not a money-making endeavor. I wanted one for myself and some friends, and if you're interested, go check them out. Okay, the way I use this is I take the crosshairs and I line them up with where I am. I make sure that north is pointing north on my chart, and also that my longitude and latitude lines are perpendicular and parallel to my grid lines. Then I pull this string to where I want to be, and then I read the number on the scale of the protractor, 140 degrees. Now, here in Maine, I need to add 15 degrees of magnetic variation because true north, which this reads, and magnetic north, which my compass reads, are different. So I need to convert true north to magnetic north. I add my 15 degrees and I get to 155 degrees magnetic. And when I line my boat up with 155 degrees, now I'm reading that on the compass of my kayak, I see the point that I laid down on the chart. And then I just make sure it lines up. I see two small islands to my right, which I see on the chart. I see a big island behind where I want to go. Things are all mapping up to what I want to see. So now with time to have done that and confidence of where I'm going, I'm going to make the jump over to the next spot that I am going to have along my journey. Okay, I've handrailed all the way to the edge of Camp Island. I've got another jump I need to make. I'm looking at my chart. I don't even need to measure. I see it's due east of where I need to be, and I can easily line my compass up and see the only thing east of me across this little channel is an island, and I know that's going to be Devil Island. Let's cross over to Devil. Now, as I do this, the thing I want to bring up is, and I'm not doing it today because the distances are really short and small, but if I needed to, I'd be measuring distance and then timing myself against that distance. This is something I would definitely do in the fog. If it was foggy, I'd be really clear on the distances and my timing to make sure that I hit the distance that I expected to travel and I'm not going out to sea. I've also made my protractor have 1 nautical mile scale at different chart sizes. So it's a quick and easy way just using my protractor and the scales I've made to see what a nautical mile is. Not something I plan on employing today, but something I wanted to tell you about as you're thinking about figuring out the direction you want to go. The second part of that is figuring out how far it's going to be and then potentially timing yourself against that distance.
There's a light on you turned on when you first opened up your eyes. And I'll tell it to you cause it's true, you know, it's not my style of life. And the fact is that I changed when you first came into my life. You're the rock that I could lean on, proof that I did something right, yeah.
When I first started pulling bearings, I would get down to like the exact degree, 162. But it's sea kayaking. It's not sending a person to Mars. And on the deck of a kayak and on the open ocean, as the kayak is moving around, I typically find anything within about 5 degrees to be enough. If I can narrow it in a little bit more, great. I actually designed my protractor not to have 1 degree markers because I think it's faster to not have to count the increments of 1 degrees. And if it's between 140 and 145, I'll call it 143 and high five and go for it. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to sea kayak, man. Okay, well, let's cross over to Buckle.
I am captivated by all these colors.
Welcome to Buckle. Let's go get camp set up. It's just a scramble to get out. Particularly today, I had to run an errand before I left, and then I forgot my chart, and I realized it about 20 minutes down the road, so I had to go back home and get my chart for this area. So that added way more time, and then everything takes like 4 times longer. So I think it's like a theme in these camping episodes that I'm just like everything is just feels like it's running late, and today's no different. But let me show you around. Let me give you a sense of what's going on at Buckle. The low tide bar is not too bad. There's a couple of decent spots to come up. And then the interior of the island is really pretty. There's a couple of campsites. I'm staying at the one on, let's see, that'd be the eastern point. There's one a little further inland. But yeah, let me show you around a little bit. I'm rolling with my Marmot nutshell, and this tent has to be like 26 years old. And it's holding up. I mean, it's absolute, it's a beast. It weighs a ton. It was a 3-season tent when I got it, but I think you could absolutely rock out 4 seasons. I have to look into resealing some of the seams. I don't know if that's a thing, but some of the tape seams are looking a little dicey. So good thing it's not going to rain tonight, but fun to be in this tent. And I haven't been in it for a while. You know, in years past, I would have planned out every distance to every island and gotten a bearing and taken meticulous notes, but I got to a point where I just stopped using them, partially because I trusted my ability a lot more, and it just takes a lot of time to do. And then I would make a plan, but I'd be like, oh, but I want to go on that side of the island instead, or that's where the wind's coming from, and I want to go over there. So that really tight plan that I would make failed as soon as it bumped into reality. So I found myself abandoning those plans and trusting my skills and trusting myself and trusting my tools more and more and more. And I could do the electronic thing. You know, I carry my phone with me in my, either in my day hatch or in my under deck bag or my deck hatch. And I could take it out and find where I'm going. I don't know. I like doing it on paper. I like doing it on paper, friends. I don't know. I'm old fashioned. I like having that skill set. I knew it was there. I could take my phone out, look at navionics, and know exactly where I am. And I don't know, what happens if that battery dies? What happens if I drop my phone in the ocean? What happens? So I've got those paper chart skills to back me up. Buckle's a really pretty little island. It's kind of tucked in the middle of the row of islands. So you're a few islands in either direction to either the mainland or the open ocean. You got views of Mount Desert Island and Isla Ho in another direction. So really pretty spot here on the eastern edge of this island group. I told you I'd share my thoughts on the Rockpool Taran as I look at it in the trees here. It's a really fun boat. It is a different boat. It is a fast boat. It tracks very well. It feels like once it starts going in a straight line, it goes. Doesn't like maneuvering, which makes sense. It's an 18-foot boat. I did notice that the back end is a bit loose, and I noticed it as I was like making a turn. I would feel kind of the back end slide out a little bit, as well as back paddling. When I back paddle, it would track really well and wouldn't veer off as some boats are prone to do, because I think the stern of the boat isn't grabbing as much water. It's not designed to grab as much water. The other thing I noticed with the boat is it just sits in the water. My Explorer feels a little bit more playful on the water. I can feel the waves and I can feel it dance a little bit with the water. I didn't really feel that with this boat. I feel like you really just kind of lock in and go, which is nice. I mean, it feels really stable once you're moving, once you're going forward. I would definitely buy one, unsponsored content here. And if Rockpool wants to sponsor me, you know where to find me. But yeah, it's a really fun boat. I really appreciate Vic letting me borrow it for a while, and want to put some more time into it to get a real sense of what it can do. I think I'm barely scratching the surface. There's a story that illustrates over-planning Steve. One phase of my career, I was a teacher, and it was my first year, and I had to write subplans. So I sat down and, this is here's this page for this person needs this is going to happen, meet them at this time and this hallway, like all of that stuff. and submitted it to my principal. And about 30 minutes later, I got a knock on my door. And it was the principal very kindly saying, Steve, I think you wrote 26 pages more than you needed to in my 28-page document of subplans for one day. And it was a good lesson. It was a lesson to figure out what was essential and what's needed. I'm someone who likes details. I really can narrow in on details. And I even like the sitting down and mapping out an entire, like I enjoy that. I don't have time for that anymore, and I don't need to do it, but I enjoy it. I find it a lot of fun to take those deep dives into things and to get into the details. And not only in that lesson did I realize not everybody needs details. Sometimes too many details are too much. And like we've been talking about today, you can't plan it all out. You've got to get enough information so that the thing can happen. And then you need to make decisions as you go. Yeah, so it's a little bit of like my background, my story, and the psychology of Steve that I let you all in on. It's been a real challenge on the channel, honestly, to try to break that habit, to try to find out what's essential and what's interesting. This is just one of the many ways that this channel and this project has taught me so much about myself. Anyway, interesting parallel to today about just enough information to get out on the water, have fun, explore, and figure out the rest as we go. So let's go do some camp jobs of getting the fly on the tent, getting stuff packed away, and getting organized so we're not rushing when stuff gets dark. One of the things I wanted to do was to replace the guy lines on the fly that pull out the fly to get some ventilation. I wanted to replace those with shot cord. So I threw some shot cord in my bag, and we're going to do that tonight as a camp job. Voila! Job done. I've been meaning to do that for like 8 years. Cross that off the list. The sun has a little bit of light left, and it's throwing its last little bits of rays onto the clouds, making these golden, beautiful ribbons, and everything else is pink and purple and blue. I'm gonna go pop a beanie on and a puffy jacket here pretty soon because I think the temperature's gonna drop quickly. It was a really fun day. I really enjoyed taking you out here. I really love it out here. Today really reminded me of how much I love using my skills and my tools and my kayak to get me to fascinating and gorgeous places like this. That sense of accomplishment, that sense of wonder, I just feel filled up from being in this space, and I needed it. May was tough. Been working on a project for the channel that has really taken up all of May. Hopefully you'll see that next month if that works out. And it's also been really rainy. It's been super wet this month, and it's been hard to find these warm, sunny days that line up for me to be able to come out and enjoy them. So I'm really grateful we got to do that today. What do you think of Stonington so far? Pretty fascinating, huh? Yeah, it's a really magical spot. So much uniqueness and interest. There's so much to see around every corner. Okay, well, I'm gonna go get warm and toasty and enjoy the rest of the sunset, and then after dark make dinner, and I'm going to catch you tomorrow morning. Sleep tight, everybody. Good morning. I slept okay last night. A few hot spots from the pad being a little too firm, so then I deflated it, and I deflated it too much, and I started to feel the ground. So I couldn't find a comfortable position on my side. The lobster boats also got a start really early this morning, and I've been up since they've been motoring around. Maybe you can hear one motoring in the not too far distance. Okay, well, I need coffee, I need breakfast, and then we gotta make a plan for the day. There's certainly a balance in over-preparing, preparing just enough, and then solving the problems that you need to solve while you're either on the water or wherever you are. And as I think about that, experience definitely plays into it. The more you do it, the more you know what you need. Makes sense. And as a novice at anything, it makes total sense that we overplan and overprepare and do too much. I think it's part of the process also. It's also trusting your tools. I've learned to really trust my tools, to trust my skills and trust my tools. I am going to enjoy the rest of my coffee here. I'm not going to have breakfast. I'm pretty full from last night. I ate really late and it was a lot of food. And I'm not hungry. I might have a handful of gorp before I get on the water, but until then, I'm going to enjoy this gorgeous, gorgeous morning. Well, the adventure continues as we say goodbye to Buckle. What did you think of Buckle? Switched over to my Greenland paddle. There's another spot I want to go to that 3 people independently recommended as an amazing campsite, Shivers. It's not far, and it was actually going to be one of the options for me on this trip, knowing that I wanted to come to this side of the islands. But all 3 people have also said that landing on Shivers at anything past like mid-tide, even then, is really difficult. The ledge is really tricky. Here is Shivers. Let's see if there's a better landing. One friend described Shivers as a little bit more wild and exposed, and I get it. You're a little bit more out of the island group. There's a lot more space between you and the next set of islands. It's also a lot smaller, so I definitely get that sense that it's way more exposed. Quite a ledge all the way around Shivers. There is a sandy bit that is underwater right now that probably mid to high tide is good, but at dead high tide, which we're close to, it's a little bit more scrambling than I want to do in a friend's boat. If it was me, I would totally do it. It's not hard. It's not deep. You can definitely get off easily, but I don't really want to scrape Vic's boat. Jellyfish. My first Lion's Mane jellyfish sighting of the year. Shivers seems lovely, and if it was my boat or a different time of tide, I would get off and show you. So Shivers will have to wait for another day. Okay, let's aim back towards town. There's some practical takeaways as I look back on this camping trip. I don't want to leave you with the idea to not make a plan. You should absolutely make a plan. But know where that plan's limitations are going to be and rely on great on-the-water decision-making. When you do need to make a decision on the water, find a quiet spot. Find an area where you're not getting blown around. Find an area where you can focus on the task at hand. Find tools that you really love. I am so excited at how my Protractor turned out. That thing is fantastic. But you could use a compass. Find the tools that you use and you like and you're familiar with, and practice with those tools. There have been so many times out paddling on places I've known very, very well where I'll pull a bearing off the chart while I'm out and about just to build that skill so that when I really need it, I've got it. I'm also a bit surprised at how this theme really unfolded for me over this trip. It's clear to me the ways that I'd overplanned in the past in my kayaking adventures and what I wanted to share, but what I didn't expect is the other inner universe that I was reflecting on of the ways that I overplan and overprepare in other areas of my life. And I think that's just trying to control the unknown, trying to make sure that the things that I don't want to happen don't happen. There's a degree of that letting go of the control that I'm seeing in other areas of my life that I need to look at and I need to explore. If you want to win a Steve Sea Kayak Protractor, leave a comment, and in 1 month I'll randomly pick 5 commenters and mail you a Steve Sea Kayak Protractor. I'm going to zip around Devil Island here and then retrace my steps from yesterday. I hope you enjoyed this episode and hearing some of the ways that I think about planning and preparing and on-the-water decision-making. And I hope you enjoy coming kayak camping with me and seeing these beautiful islands. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the episode, about navigation, about the things you do when you're on the water. If you enjoy this type of thing, there are other episodes on my channel of me exploring this beautiful, beautiful coastline. And I hope you go check those out and tell me what you think over there. All right, friends, as always, I hope you enjoy your adventures, whatever they are. And until next time, safe paddling.